Good evening. I am specifically Tukani, and today I will be offering travel services and 5. We'll be dealing with Module 7, which is Electronic Miscellaneous Documents, also known as EMDs. After completing this module, you'll be able to define what is an EMD, the types of EMDs, which are EMDA and EMDS, the various codes which are related to the EMDs, and also interpreting the EMD. You will also be able to issue group deposits, calculate group deposits, and then issuing an EMD which is based on the calculated group deposit. What is an EMD? An EMD is also known as electronic miscellaneous document, which replaces all the other documents that we have dealt with in the previous modules, which are the electronic and the automated tickets. Now, very crucial, one should always remember that an EMD is not transferable. What do I mean by that? You cannot transfer an EMD from one passenger to another. Now, as I've said earlier on, we have two types of EMDs, which are EMDA and EMDS. Now, what does this EMDA stand for? It means Associated EMD, and then EMDS, it means Standalone EMD. What do we mean by EMDA or Associated EMD? Basically, EMDA, it is directly linked to the flight. For example, an extra seat. So if someone is obese and he or she would request for an additional seat, then he or she would pay an additional amount for that extra seat, and then an EMD will be issued for that specific extra seat for the obese individual. And then EMDS is a standalone EMD which is issued separately from the A ticket, which means it is not linked, it is independent. What do we mean by that? Typical examples, car rental and group deposit. We do understand that car rentals have nothing to do with the actual flight, neither does group deposit or refunds. We have 7 broad categories of an EMD, which are the reasons for issuing the EMD, which is also known as RFIC. Now, very important, when writing the or the exam, it's very important for you to indicate the alphabet from A to G. So please, students, do not just write A transportation because you will be penalized. There are various services that we can use to issue an EMD. Very crucial. We have the reason for issuing the EMD code, so the reason for issuance, as well as the subcode, which is also known as RFISC. Now, how will they assess this in your exam? So, they will say Miss Tukani is traveling to Cape Town for a cycling competition. So she would like to take a bicycle with. Please provide us with the reason for issuing the EMD as well as the subcode. Now, all you need to do is the reason for issuing the EMD is C, and then the subcode is OEC. Please remember that you always write your codes in capital letters, and you will be penalized if it is not written in capital letters. Now, moving on to group deposits. Things to remember. Group deposits are always EMDS, and then the reason for issuing the EMD is always D. The language of the EMD is financial impact. The subcode is always 997. Steps to take when issuing group deposits. You first calculate the airfare, including the taxes of the one individual, and then you determine how many individuals are in the group. Now, it always confuses the students on, ma'am, how do I know how many individuals are participating in this group? It is always next to the flight status code. For example, HK is the flight status code, and then the number 20 is the number of individuals that are within the group. The next step, which is step 3, you calculate the total of one individual, and then you multiply that total by the number of individuals within the group, and then you continue reading the scenario. They will specify that a 35% deposit is required in order to secure the reservation. Then you take the total that you got from multiplying for the 20 people, then you times it by the 35%, which is required to secure the reservation. Now let's put what we've discussed in practice and do activity 1. You will see that in activity 1, we have Mr. Smith who would like to make a reservation for 11 individuals. You can all see that we have 11 individuals, which is indicated next to the flight status code. First step, you calculate the fare for the group. And then second step, question 1.2, you calculate the 30% deposit which is required to secure the reservation. Remember, number 1.1, you also include all the different taxes from VAT, PSC, safety charge, war tax. As on the next step, you are given more information. Now remember, let's have a look. Type of EMD. We don't have an EMD which is called check and enter. What they mean by this, they mean you as a student, you must go to your manual or your textbook and then you must check and enter. So you must determine which type of EMD is this. Remember on our previous slides, we did indicate that group deposits are always EMDS. Same applies with the reason for issuing the EMD. There's no reason which is called check and enter. It simply means you must go and check. Now let's have a look at our very last slide. We have EMD. You write down the EMD number which is given. We have type. You write down whether is it EMDS or EMDA. We have SYS, which means the system that is being used. We have two types of systems. We have Emd'S as well as Galileo. Then we have LOC, which is the record locator, also known as the booking reference. It will always be given to you. We also have POI, which is the point of issue, DOI, which is the date of issue, which will also be given to you, IOI, which is the IATA number, PEX, the name of the group. We also have RFIC. Now, very important, we did indicate in our important notes that the reason for issuing a group deposit, it will always be D, and then the language will always be financial impact. We have remarks. We have RFISC, which is the subcode. Going back to our notes, group deposits will always be 997. We have the value, very crucial. With the amount, you use the calculated 30% as per the scenario. So you use the amount that you had calculated, you write the amount where it says value, going down where it says fare. They've already written the code. So you also continue writing down the very same amount, weighted exchange value. They've already written the currency code, which is ZAR. Write down the amount as well as weighted total. And then weighted FP. FP stands for form of payment. Now, a very common mistake that our students normally do is they will write on the full name as given within the scenario. Remember, we do not write the full name. We only indicate the code. Now, within this scenario, it was indicated that our client is using Visa International, of which the code for Visa International is VI, capital letters, and then the long credit card number as well as the expiry date.